Slither that hand down the page. Good. That's exactly what you want to do, Carolyn. Good anticipation. Hey, you didn't think this was going to get any easier, did you? Pretty soon we start to add whole books. Mark's looking at me like, are we really going to add whole books?
Hey, I'm ready for it.
That's what I like, enthusiasm. Will somebody go out and bring in the volume of Encyclopedia Britannicas for Mark, please? Next page, next page, next page. Watch that trail that you're leaving behind as that snake is slithering down that page. Watch it now. Next page, next page.
There's so much emphasis these days on speed reading about 100 books each year with little to no intention on retention or putting what we've read to use.
Knowledge.
We've somehow forgotten the importance of wisdom that arrives just in time in pursuit of wisdom that we might need just in case. Now, if I had to talk to you about a particular book that you read 10 years ago and to describe the important facts in detail, if you're not a cognitive athlete, chances are it will be very difficult for you to do so. It is not that the value of that information has diminished over time, but the memory of that particular book certainly has. But it's not your fault. With the blizzard of information out there, it is difficult for us mere mortals to navigate through the absurdity. Let me propose a hypothetical scenario. What if we could use the present moment to consolidate the information we consume and pack it in a way and send it into the future where it would be 10 times more useful? Now, what if that future version could retrieve that information and pack it again in a way such that its future version would find it even more useful? I'm talking about designing discoverable notes. But here's the challenge. You're designing this particular note for a very demanding customer. Future you. The future you is impatient, skeptical, demanding proof upfront that the time that they spend reviewing that particular information will be worth their while. So the priorities of designing this particular note is twofold: discoverability and understanding. But it isn't as simple as that. If you optimize for discoverability, it means compressing that information into its most simple, small and easy to digest version. And you cannot compress anything without losing some of its context. On the other hand, if you optimize that particular information for understanding by including every bit of detail and information, you will lose its discoverability. As you can see, it is a very difficult trade-off. So what's the solution? Tiago Forte, the author of Building a Second Brain, has a very interesting solution to this problem. And the solution is a technique that he developed known as progressive summarization. Progressive summarization balances the equation of discoverability and understanding by using opportunistic compression. Opportunistic compression means summarizing a particular information in small spurts across time as and when needed. Progressive summarization works in different layers. So there are 5 layers in progressive summarization, and we need to keep in mind that we do not need to conduct each and every layer in one go. So the idea is to summarize your particular information through bite-sized chunks as and when needed, opportunistically. Your layer 0 of the progressive summarization would consist of your rich source text, and it could be anything from a blog article, your research paper, a book, a digital or a physical book. So that is your layer 0. So I do not have a specific preference over digital or physical books. I like physical books for the reason that I get to scribble on the pages, I get to have a conversation with the author in the book itself, and I also like making indexes on the blank pages. So the thing I like about digital books is that it makes it all the more easier to export your highlights into a commonplace book. More on that later. So layer 1 consists of highlighting your rich source text, and you must be doing this already. So this particular layer in the progressive summarization has to do with just that. So when you're highlighting, you have to keep in mind that you do not need to highlight each and everything. So basically, you're looking for insightful ideas, key phrases, small amounts of information that gives you the overall idea of what you've been reading. So when you're highlighting digital books, there are plenty of apps out there like Readwise, IFTTT. So basically what you're looking for when you're highlighting your ebooks is the functionality of exporting those highlights so that you can transfer it into a commonplace book. Like I've mentioned, we're going to talk about the commonplace book in detail. So your particular application, your e-reading application, should allow you to export your highlights either through text so that you can directly put it into your note-taking software like Notion, Obsidian, Evernote or Google Docs. So I prefer using Evernote. So if you want an in-depth workflow when it comes to Evernote, then I can do that as well. So you can just leave your comment down below. So when it comes to physical books, there is no rule as such. There are plenty of styles out there. Some people prefer using highlighter flags, some people scribble directly on the book, and some people use highlighter pens. I prefer using pencils because, like I've mentioned, I like drawing things. I like, in some instances, if I find a particular phrase to be funny in a book, I write LOL next to it, and I don't know why I said that. That's pretty weird. Now moving on to layer 1.5, and I'm pretty sure Tiago Forte would not approve of this, but I'm deciding to call it layer 1.5 because this involves exporting your highlights into your commonplace book, like I've mentioned. So you must be wondering what a commonplace book is by now. So this idea of a commonplace book has a very rich history. For several years, artists and intellectuals would keep a commonplace book. They would use this commonplace book to store anything they would find interesting, insightful ideas. So basically any information that had the potential to get lost. So they would keep it in this commonplace book and use those ideas to form connections, links, and create something beautiful out of it. Famous personalities who used to keep a commonplace book include Charles Darwin, Leonardo da Vinci, Cicero, Jefferson, and many more. This idea of the commonplace book that I just mentioned is what the new age productivity experts are calling the second brain. So basically, you're storing all of the information that you find interesting in your day-to-day life into your second brain, so that you can wrestle with the knowledge that you've found throughout your life, and then create something meaningful out of it. So there are various ways, like I've mentioned, which you can use to export your highlights into your commonplace book. So in case of digital information, for example, ebooks, articles, YouTube videos, and anything digital, you can use something like Liner or Readwise. So there are plenty of web clippers out there specific to the note-taking software that you're using, which can help you directly transfer the content that you found interesting into your note-taking software. For example, Evernote Web Clipper or Notion Web Clipper. So I prefer using these web clippers as well as Liner, which allows me to export highlights from articles and ebooks into my Evernote. So layer 2 is where your actual summarization begins. So by this time you have your highlighted notes exported into your note-taking software, and in this layer what you're looking for is keywords, key insights that represent the whole idea of that particular information. As you're conducting this, you will find certain things that are more insightful within your highlights, and what you're going to do is you're going to bold certain phrases, bold certain keywords and ideas that represent the whole idea of that particular information. So you can do this and leave it at that. So next time when you're going through that information, the glanceability of that particular note has increased because your eyes can bounce from the bolded text so that you get an overall gist of what you've read in the past. Now if you want to summarize the note even further, then you can go to layer 3. And in layer 3, what you're actually looking for is best of the best. So you already have a lot of bolded text within your highlights, which is already summarized and which is already giving you enough information about the particular book that you've read in the past, or particular information that you've read in the past. Very important ideas, the best ideas, and highlighting them, not bolding them. So sometimes you're highlighting on top of your bolded text, so that next time you're going through that information, you can easily find the highlighted text and make sense of that information in single glance, so to speak. So you can leave your summarization up to here because this is enough, so you can easily glance through your summary and get the overall idea of the book. If you want to take it a bit further, you can perform layer 4, which is an executive summary. So in that executive summary, which is an informal executive summary, you are trying to restate the key points into your own words. Basically in this layer, what you're doing is deconstructing the entire information and going back to the rudimentary phase of what the author started off with, kind of close to that. This will obviously improve your retention over time. If you're interested, you can go to layer 5, where you can remix the entire information into your own content. So for example, this video or a blog article, the list goes on. As knowledge workers, we're expected to come up with useful information at the snap of our fingers and to put that information to use on the go. We need to let go of this mindset of starting from scratch every time a new project comes our way. Whether you're designing a sales page, writing a blog post, or building an app, what we need is to perform from a place of abundance. Now, if you want to build a campfire, it would be counterproductive to go and find some firewood every time the fire starts diminishing. A smarter alternative would be to collect the firewood before you start building the fire. If you are new here, my name is Tubden and I talk about personal development, philosophy and creative entrepreneurship. If you are interested in these topics, please do subscribe because you'll definitely like it here.